everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Concord Nilmananji. My name is Molly. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going to be your GM for the evening. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves. My friend from the far west, Adora.
Yes, I'm Adora. I use she, her pronouns. I'm playing Celestrina, who also uses she, her pronouns. Ray?
Hi, I'm Raylan. I'm looking over like I need to know my own name. I use either pronouns, and I'm playing Llewellyn, who uses he, him. And I'm gonna awkwardly pass the mic over to Scarlett.
Hello, I am Scarlett. I use she, her pronouns, and I will be playing Odyssey, who uses he, him pronouns.
Hey, I'm the only one left, so it's gotta be me. I'm Isabel. I use she, her pronouns. I play Kendall Vaiselen, and Kendall uses he, him pronouns.
And so, the typically bustling Antarctic shipyards of Tir-Beaumont lie empty. Dispatched from her ports, a swarm of tremendous ships fill the water of the southern atoll. Small patches of open sea dot this tremendous navy. An onlooker from nearby islands would see only the mountainous ships and the banner of Tir Argid dancing in the wind, marked as it is with the watchful purple and orange eyes of the Vision's emissary. Gem dragons hiss in pain as they are compelled to flit from ship to ship with burning orange collars driving them forward. A small force of these giants was able to dispatch one of the great civilizations of Grajwil with only a light applications of Hyurja's might. Through her magic and investiture of the Vision, even some of the giants around her and in her ruling circle seem to be wary of her capabilities. On each ship sits a watcher of the emissary, watcher of the Vision, covered head to toe in big black runic tattoos. Watching, bound to Hyurja through this void-infused ink. Our party strikes out from Uchino, having just commissioned a new ship from the Mithril Elves. They're joined, by Celestrina and Llewellyn, and of course our heroes, Kendall and Odyssey. Because they have been sent by their superior Norkel Aerith, north to an isle filled with people called the Kolinth, faithful of the Jin Kexla, because they've been beset night after night by an uncollared green worm and its heavily tattooed rider. And that's where we
so much more interesting.
Collared green. Uncollared green. It's kale.
It's uncollared, actually.
Oh!
Exactly.
Oh, no!
I'm going to quickly call a timeout.
Concord Nilmananji, what would you like to do?
I'm just quickly... my character, like, transparent, bust wasn't next to me like everybody else's, and so I tried to load them in while you were talking, and then it loaded in really big. So
oh no!
If I just
so
just 30 seconds. No, we don't have to redo it. It's really funny. Okay, great. She's here. Let's continue.
Well, I hope that everyone enjoyed that really big clip of Celestrina. It's really beautiful art. Make sure that you check out the artist. Their name is Pikagi, Pikagi, on Instagram, and they're probably open for commissions. They do really cool work, and they'll even draw kobolds, which I don't know many people who will do that in this day and age.
Question: how do they draw kobolds? This is very important to me.
Two-handed.
This doesn't answer my question. Are they or are they not dogs?
They are dragon people.
Wrong. Incorrect. That's not what a kobold is. Kobolds are dogs. I'll die on this fucking hill.
You may. You may die on that hill. So
Anyway, go on.
go on. Dance for me, game master.
I don't want to interrupt with strong feelings about kobolds. I don't want to derail us too much, so I'm trying to let it go.
So our heroes in the last night of Eternal, Celestrina would kind of making plans for her imminent departure from Tovra'a, a city that's been home and hearth for a good long time. Would have made her way back into the Fey markets and done some business, picking up a number of gilded caterpillars in finely preserved jars. To the great happiness of the one vendor that happened to have a good amount of gilded caterpillars in jars. And she comes
Trying to
back
offload these for months, man.
what else are you going to do with gilded Feywild caterpillars? And you will see coming back from a break from his meditation, Kendall will arrive with some very finely enchanted inks from one of the Fey stalls, and you'll see kind of chipping in some of their resources are Odyssey and Celestrina to make sure that they get enough ink for their writing needs. Some just fine parchment. Same fine parchment.
So
You know
damn
what I'm
right.
saying?
Right, vellum.
Vellum. I hardly knew him. So, sorry, this is all on the table. We are a family-friendly network.
Indeed. Allegedly. No, definitely.
The Concord Illuminati, a family-friendly show, other than Isabel dropping the F word in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, I apologize. If you want to go ahead and bleep over that, that's great.
There's like a goose honk over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will die on the hill that kobolds are dog people, though. I will die on that hill. Anyway, moving on.
It's a good hill to die
Isabel,
on.
it should just be Edgar Allan Poe going, "The Raven, evermore."
Did Edgar Allan Poe become Irish?
know,
Haven
maybe,
playing
you don't
Edgar
know.
Allan Poe. Hey, Bubbles, the Raven
I
forevermore.
want to do another Irish accent.
What else are you doing? Bubbles. All day.
We missed her
so-
so.
Rest in peace, Elon. So
He's
yeah,
not
so
dead. He's not dead. Not dead. He's busy.
Dead to me.
what would you like to do? Are we just kind of making our way to the boat? Anything else you want to resolve with Mariel, Fall Red? Anybody on the island before you go?
Might want to resolve something with Ball Red.
Oh, hey, handsome.
Hey, we're going to be going on this trip for a while. Don't miss me too much.
We'll always have Nocio Rehegua. And he'll hold Kendall's face. There's something changed about you. Something changed since I met you. You seem more confident.
I am.
Good.
Yeah.
Go forth and do amazing things. And he'll give you a little kiss on the forehead. And you'll weave your way back through the city streets of Atuna'o. Kind of, you're seeing where the fey creatures had been dancing in and out of portals, and also Karis had been dancing in and out of portals with Kizana, her father. They make their way. The party makes their way down to the port, past the now being rebuilt customs house, where the documents were being destroyed from the time period while the giants were there to cover their tracks. With all the bribes that they paid, so the customs officials that were implicated are still at large. And you make your way down to the ship that Mariel set up for you, the high
We weren't
priest.
able to recover anything from that whole fire. It was all gone by the time we were done.
I mean, like, they were blind, so, like, a lot of things survived, but they were able to get the documents that they were after. The date range is all gone.
Okay.
Oh.
But a lot of burning trash was shoveled out in the bushes. Celestrina mischief managed. So,
I'm
Luella?
definitely gonna let the, like, where I usually frequent know, like, I'm going. I don't know if I'm coming back, because they might arrest me. And then I'm going to have the most mischief night. Just like that last night of knowing, like, is going to be mayhem, and then get on that ship to fuck off so they can't get me.
Okay. So just absolutely
go for
raising hell. Walking down to the boat in like a stupor. Llewellyn
Is it still Nacia Rahegua?
So yeah, it would have been the last night of Nacia Rahegua.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
you don't even need an excuse.
Exactly.
You just see a Fey spirit takes the shape of a kangaroo, and you see at one point Llewellyn is actually boxing a kangaroo Fey. And it's just like there's blood dripping down one half of his face, but he's got whiskey in the other hand, and he's like punching it with one hand. Just like a lot of Australian flavored hijinks. Foster's
Ironic.
Australian for beer. Interesting, at least. And what else? Let's see. Probably go back to the Arena of the Sands, where you would have done some fighting while you were there. Probably in Nocia Rahegwa's past and the Eclipse's past. Kind of see the sands, go back to the place where you found your knuckles, and say goodbye to the bloody memories there.
Yeah.
Sand and beer, it's a weird smell. Sand and beer indoors, not like
But
a nice beach smell.
It's a distinct smell that you might come to miss after you leave it, absolutely.
You definitely will notice it when it's gone.
Yeah.
And so the party makes their way down onto the ship, and NorCal will come down and say, "Hey, well, I spoke with our seers there, and there's a temple to Kexla there. It appears that the priests and the temple are the target of the attacks. I would speak to that when you get there. I would encourage you to speak with the head of the temple there. Given that all the losses that have happened to the faith of Kexla in these recent weeks," and he brings up the attack on Estipena and the genocide there. So you will set off on this journey. Last thoughts as you look back on house and home. Second time you've gotten to do this, Adora. As you're looking back on Tivra'a, the city that has been home for most of season 1 for you as a player, and for you as and for Celestrina as a character.
So yeah, I think Celestrina has been in a lot of places.
Okay.
And a lot of weird Fey places as well. So, Tivra'a, I think, is a place that I've like been to a lot, and like maybe didn't grow up there, but like it's fun memories. Nocia Rahegwa's fun. Certainly, like, connection to the Fae is very important, and so like there's a lot of that here, especially during this holiday. And so where we're going, I'm not going to be able to have as much help from my friends over in the Feywild, so that's a little daunting.
But you come back, and as the island slips out of sight, and the forests are much more slowly rotating through the seasons as they're wont to do. You look down at your 12 taxidermied caterpillars, and you say, "I still have my friends with me." Llewellyn, as you
13.
Hard is,
I have
baby.
13 friends.
13.
Yeah,
Llewellyn.
I'm friends with Llewellyn.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And these floating disembodied hands that are buzzing around the ship, making sure everything goes. Llewellyn, as you look back on Home and Hearth, what is kind of Llewellyn's thought as his home slips out of eyesight for maybe the first or second time?
I don't think he can be too mad about it, since, I mean, damn, gotta start that reputation over again, but hey, maybe I'll do better this time. And a nice fresh opportunity to maybe prove himself to be more than what he is.
And so the first night, Jenkins is kind of going along, and you'll trance at different intervals, keeping a watch. And it's weird. There's like a piece to the ocean that I think Kendall and Odd don't remember because it's been so long. It's only been 15 days since the Foreolus went down. 16 days. But it's still just like, that was a long 15 days. Mm-hmm, and so they're just like, this is like weirdly peaceful in this kind of like very tense time. And so as these days roll on, what is Odyssey getting up to on the ship? Kind of hanging out with Jenkins again?
Always. Playing cards with my... Well, I guess my main card pal is gone. My main card pals are gone. So I guess I'll be trying to entice everyone else. Kendall will probably... Well, you'll still play with me, right, Kendall?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to entice the other two to play cards. And then he's just intrigued by these dragons that have been popping up. And so there's not a lot of research that's been done on them, correct, thus far?
Yep.
Yeah, so he's going to spend his time looking through any sketches that he has of the dragons, and also looking through just like reptile and amphibian research books, looking at mating patterns and potentially how you could raise young amphibians or reptiles if you were to acquire them suddenly, just that sort of thing.
All right, can you give me a nature check at advantage?
Yeah, I'm sorry, my cat is really insistent on
we love Winston. We love Winston
on the video today.
He's our little handsome man.
For animal,
one of our handsome men.
Oh,
I should say
the most handsome man of all.
Whoa.
Okay.
Raylan is literally right here.
I mean, can you compare though with Winston?
No, I can't compete with Winston.
Okay, so you said animal handling. I'm going to re-roll that. I'm going to use my
nature.
Okay, I'm going to use my
or investigation, or nature investigation.
Okay, let's see.
With advantage.
Here. Nature
with advantage.
With advantage.
Yep.
Oh, all right, cool. Then I didn't have to re-roll it. I just used my advantage. So 21.
Great.
And I used investigation.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. And so you go through and you're figuring out some commonalities about like where like armor plating with these gem dragons and like where the soft spots might be, and you kind of have an idea about if all the ones that have collars on are being aged very quickly somehow, or are being kept very ignorant of things, is there a way that we can leverage that? And you're trying to like figure out leverage points and all this stuff. And so as sort of in between trances, rounds of cards, and scaredly watching Llewellyn box with Jenkins.
I like to think that we like maybe tried to go one round, and then it was like it was very quickly like, oh, never mind, my bad.
Right.
Just the bad luck. It was just supposed to be non-contact sparring, but the kind of like aura of bad luck around him just kind of like draws a fist like very close to Odyssey's face.
Odd still and somehow walks away with a blooded nose and a broken black eye.
So for stumbling into something. And so as Odyssey spends all this time in the kind of underbelly of the ship, down there is a high elf friend from House Silverspear. And what is Kendall up to?
It's a great question. I think Kendall he's been probably trancing more often than usual when he can, and just kind of getting in touch with some of the new abilities he's been given by Kendra.
And so as you
or that have been awakened in him.
As you see Kendall kind of meditating, you see, like, for Celestrina, who is sort of new to Kendall, but for Odyssey, who is sort of like in touch with the weave and remembers Kendall, like there seems to be like the magic just seems to be crackling off of him in this moment. It seems to be like very raw and very potent. And it's something very different from what you're used to with him. Kind of a very calm, cool, and relaxed gentleman. And boogie, woogie, woogie.
Mm-hmm.
What else is going on, Kendall?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm sure that Kendall would want to play cards with Odd. He's very much like, he's going to be trancing more often than usual, and otherwise be trying to find opportunities to kind of, I guess, get to know the two new folks around him. Because he knew Aelin pretty well after about 2 weeks of nonsense. And he's assuming we're going to go into some more nonsense, so he's probably going to try to get to know the other two new folks around him.
So what would that look like?
I'm thinking, with my brain even.
Big brains over here.
Stars.
I mean, so Kendall would probably watch some of the sparring sessions that Llewellyn's having with the many hands on deck.
Say their name.
Jenkins.
Not 7 seconds.
Maybe just for funsies on like days that are kind of like boring. Kendall blesses Jenkins on those sparring fights just to make
just to make it spicy.
Make it a little interesting.
I was gonna say I think that Celestrina probably I think it's fun if we all like take turns trying to like box Llewellyn, and you're still both like dump stat strength that I'm aware of. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think that Kendall would probably be like cheering for Llewellyn, and like Llewellyn's having it way too easy and is like, this isn't fun. And blesses Jenkins. and it's like still cheering on Llewellyn, and like doesn't think this is not, as far as Kendall's concerned, this is helpful. You don't want to be bored, like
absolutely. Yeah.
Immediately after we have our sparring session and Odd gets a little bit unintentionally roughed up, he'll bet on one of your Jenkins spars, and he'll kind of shift the odds in their favor a little bit just to get back at you.
Are we facilitating a port on boat boxing ring?
Is it a boxing ring, or is it like a cabaret show, like on a cruise line, like every day, like this is your like daily engagement?
Or is it like the marriage game after this?
Yeah,
it's like
the newlyweds game.
This is my entertainment in my enclosure for a week.
It's enrichment.
Yeah, it's enrichment in my enclosure.
This is how we take care of Llewellyn.
Sometimes you bless Jenkins, Enrichment.
I mean,
See
I
how
don't know
many
that you need to
buffs
bless
the party
Jenkins.
can stack on Jenkins against
Do you
Llewellyn.
know? Do you know like how much of boxing is based on like your opponent having a body? Like, I feel like
and tells. That's
what are
true.
you going to
Jenkins
punch?
has
Their
probably got a
hands?
Killer
You know?
poker face.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't see how Jenkins is realistically. Maybe we're all stacking buffs on Llewellyn to see if we can, if there's even a possibility of some sort of win happening.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Well, I see it very much like those sparring poles that have the the bits that are sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
And like I see it as Llewellyn, gradually getting used to how Jenkins does things, getting good at dodging and stuff like that. And like, when you get used to it, it stops being challenging. It stops being entertaining. So every now and then you got to throw a wrench in.
Yeah, I feel it.
Isn't Jenkins?
Kendall throws a wrench at Llewellyn and it bends and it cracks Odyssey.
Dodge a wrench and like throws
That's how the
nose
got doing a whole bunch of things. He's not throwing a wrench at anybody. Not a literal one.
That's not what I heard.
Okay, this is why we don't gamble, kids.
And then as far as trying to get to know Celestrina, I feel like Kendall might take an interest in those caterpillars. Kendall's a nerd and would love to know what they are. Never seen them before.
Oh, yes. Well, I have a new project that I've been working on. I like to have a theme, you see, and I think that I can find a way to make these really helpful for us. I want to justify the extra gold that Odyssey pitched in to help you with your scroll work. So.
Oh, well, I love specimens. If I had known that was an option, 100% that's what it would. I didn't know that was an option.
Oh, we're having a specimen party now. So I don't have a presentation prepared, but I suppose I can talk about them for a little while.
I would love that.
I like to think Loan's holding a jar, like going like this to watch the specimens fill in the jar.
Darling,
very nice.
please.
Learn more about them.
Here, why don't you?
It looks fine. It looks like you could take it.
Just looks horrified.
Yes, beautiful. Here, why don't you play with this instead?
I have some rare giant frog samples.
True.
That's what I do.
Actually a thing. So Odyssey just takes out this rotten frog flesh. You've been wondering what this smell was, but this is 2-week-old frog flesh.
I've been in some places that smell like absolute death, but that takes the cake.
And he just sets this down, and you just see a small creature move briefly in his bag, but nothing else. And as he takes out the frog flesh, and he quickly closes the bag.
As the smell becomes concentrated, Kendall is going to loudly announce, "I'm going to the mess," and he's going to leave to go get some vinegar, and a jar. Because goddamn, Odd, preserve the dang thing.
Odd has very
to the galley
skills. He's going to be really excited about this.
He's going to the galley.
Wow. I think that's the most awful smell I've ever let my nose take in, and I've smelled some pretty awful things.
You think that's bad? I mean, have you smelled one of these yet? The inside? I could show you.
Oh, you took it away from me before I could even consider opening it.
That's probably
I
a
would
good
absolutely
thing.
take a whiff.
It looked fun when I was shaking it. It was doing a little dance.
How long have these guys been sitting in here for?
Well, I just picked them up. I actually didn't ask that specific question. It wasn't quite as important to my needs for them. But, judging by the amount of decay, it must be at least a couple years.
Do you think the smell has gotten worse? Or do you think it's gotten better?
Well, I suppose it depends on the spices.
They're spiced?
I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying?
Are they like spiced peppers? Do you eat them?
I wouldn't eat them.
Oh my gosh! What if
we should spice them though?
Just
that might help
Llewellyn's already dangling one over his mouth.
What if, so tequila with the worm? what if there's like a gin derivant that's very popular in the Feywild? This is very herbal, and instead these are like little caterpillars soaking at the bottom of gin bottles,
They're
and that's
like
what you're using as the reagents.
Juniper berries.
No, I don't want to take away the flavor. I just thought that was funny.
That's great. We should definitely why don't we take a look at what we have in the galley? I'm sure we can whip something up. At least they'll smell good once they're out of the jars, which is hopefully something that I think I'm going to be able to make happen later on.
And so you have a show and tell. Everybody shows off their science experiments.
At some point, Kendall will come back with a big jar and some vinegar, and we'll go, if you're going to keep the thing on, it must be preserved. This is a disease vector. That's what this is.
He's got a point.
I wasn't expecting to keep it in my bag this long, and I kind of forgot about it, honestly, but I'm glad I still have it. Let's go ahead and preserve it.
So
why don't you share one of my preservation jars? I think I've got enough that they can live together in there.
And with that, Celestrina has one Odd's little
What kind of taste
nerdy.
do you think that would have?
What kind of what?
Well, you're pickling them, so how do you think they'd taste?
Oh,
If
okay,
you put them
there's
together,
vector.
because then the tastes, wouldn't they just, combined?
Well, I've never had
I
frog
do
legs
not
before.
think that they're trying to be tasting them. I think that we're pickling them for study.
I wouldn't exactly say study, but no, tasting isn't the idea either. Please do not eat them.
Okay, well, I don't know what your intentions are, but I know that Odd likes to study animals, so I'm assuming that this needs to be preserved for study.
The frog legs do.
What a waste of food.
We've got
Oh,
you
plenty
cannot
of
eat
food.
them anymore.
Llewellyn is very worried about the food.
These cannot be eaten anymore.
It's
And you'll
always
see
the food
Llewellyn
with
at
you,
various
Llewellyn.
times, he gets Jenkins set up after he figures out how to interact with Jenkins. There's probably a couple of Jenkins pile-ups on the way to places. Like Llewellyn is shadowboxing with one pair of hands, and the Jenkins sort of end up piling up behind him as they're going about their business. But yeah, he eventually figures out how to get hand-fed grapes. I'm imagining he's just sitting there lounging on the stairs with Jenkins just feeding him grapes.
I like to think that he does the cat thing of the rays of sun.
Oh,
Yeah.
Slowly moving to follow the
Yes.
sunbeam.
Llewellyn
This is the
canonically
height of
an
luxury.
Eladrin Catboy.
Yeah.
We have
Absolutely.
something about
Ironic.
cats
We traded
here.
one. We traded.
Trade a cat girl for a cat boy.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
go.
what I was saying. That we have a thing for cat people here.
Wait.
Except
Okay.
we don't play Tabaxi. That's not a thing.
On the trans non-binary storytelling network, you mean to tell me that there's a high percentage of cat people?
Case
I
of
can
Creed.
hardly believe that shit. Queer people and cats?
I don't know, man.
Looks
As
at
long as-
Winston in Spanish.
As long as you don't get up to your old tricks of chasing me around and my friends, we'll be fine.
Oh, it was so much fun, though.
Oh wait,
So-
actually no, that's not.
Usually you were chasing me, though.
I definitely am just making ethereal butterflies that run around, and then Llewellyn is chasing them, and it's like a laser pointer. We're just
I feel like what would happen was
So
that if they
wholesome.
were they would come to land, he'd just kind of try to swat them away.
but
it's
yeah,
like,
but it just goes through.
I know your deal. I know your deal by now. I'm gonna chase these things, swats.
And so the butterflies land and disperse, and the magic reforms, and they disperse. And at the end, this goes back and forth as Celestrina and Llewellyn pass the 7-day journey on the boat together. By the night of the 6th day, you see the island that was aforementioned. and you know that the next day you will be arriving to the port. I know that Kendall, you had brought up you were going to be spending time in the ship, scribing something out.
Yes. So
All right.
we got those wonderful inks and that beautiful vellum, so that Kendall can scribe out a spell he knows, borrowed knowledge, to give to Celestrina, just in case they get separated and there's something that she needs to know about. Now, they're on a ship and all that, so I'm going to roll to see if we have any complications.
Because we're using the downtime activity from Xanathar's, which is making a spell scroll, and you roll for complications.
Yep, every week that we would be working on it, there would be another 10% chance of a complication, and I did not roll the number Molly told me was my complications number.
Which was 0.
I'm going to go ahead and update my inventory from Jar with Brined Caterpillar 12 to Jar with Brined Caterpillar 11 and Jar with Brined Caterpillar and Frog Specimens 1.
It is of the utmost importance that you do. On the dawn of the 7th day, you awaken. Jenkins has brought you into. Actually, the night before, you would have seen flashes of magic descending onto this island. It looked like a very localized lightning storm. Anything, so I think Odyssey would definitely be, I think probably people would be watching this. It's too far away for you to do anything about, but you're watching this magic flitting back and forth. Anything in particular you're looking for?
I want to see if there's a point of origin or a point of contact, particularly one place that it's all concentrating and striking, or somewhere that it's coming from.
Yes, and so you will definitely see there's a point that seems to be it reminds you of, well, actually you haven't seen one of these fly. You've never seen any of the dragons fly so far. So it seems like maybe a rock would move, you've seen large birds. Maybe you traveled beforehand and you've seen kind of the way, and so it kind of seems like there's a rotating, and then it would dive in and you'd see a flash of magic. But that would really be it. And occasionally you get this really bright kind of flash from the back of whatever it is. So there'd be this downward flash, and then there's sort of big kind of a glowing beacon. Maybe you'd see a lighthouse on top of this creature as it moves.
Am I able to see the silhouette of the creature?
If you're seeing it this far away, you know that it's large.
Can I safely assume that it's probably the dragon that we've heard has been plaguing them?
Yeah, you're putting 2 and 2 together, and you're yep, this would be if this is the island, this is night, this is when they say they're getting attacked.
Yeah, that tracks.
So it makes sense.
I'm definitely going to alert everybody else. Come and look at this, guys. It's way cool. It's like a laser light show up here.
Oh, you couldn't get his attention faster.
Odyssey says a word that makes no sense to anyone. Laser.
A laser what show?
What's a laser? And so you all will kind of observe this in the distance.
Oh,
and
I've had my fill of light shows for a while, thanks. It's a reference to when I got color sprayed before.
Oh.
Episode 1 callback. Let's go. All right. So, and then next day you will wake up, and you will be just outside of kind of rowing in range. There's not a formal port, but you could anchor and row one of the smaller one of the rowboats into the shore to see who you could meet up with. What would you like to do before you head out? What are you taking with you? What are you leaving behind? Are you doing anything to hide your ship from this potentially very powerful creature?
From what you can all see, I'm bringing one of the caterpillars with me, like outside of its jar.
Oh, snack for later.
And it has like in between, in kind of its like in like the mouth and its kind of front legs, when it rests, it seems to be playing with this like little bit of like goopy silk, kind of like silk webbing type thing in between its feet, and then it'll kind of like drop back in like a kid eating spaghetti. And we'll just kind of chill and skitter around.
What's it alive for now?
You'll see.
Ominous.
I'm not trying to be ominous. I just mean
no,
you'll
Odd is
see.
probably excited.
Okay,
Odd
okay.
It's science.
Yeah.
Odd wants to hang out with this, and so
Odd wants to know.
Odd can hang out. Odd can meet Gerald.
Gerald. You want to meet Josephine?
So, this island that we're approaching that has that bird-like creature attacking.
Yesterday. It's no longer there. As you wake up in the morning, you do not see the creature that was causing the problems. You see like large swaths of the forest. So a small, densely forested island sits in front of you. And many parts of it, as you look around from a distance, seem to be flattened. It reminds you of you're at the end of the atoll. In the center, as you go around as you circumnavigate the island, in the center stands the battered tower of a temple with a large megalodon skeleton sitting over it. That's your flavor. It's not a huge island, but it has a central temple.
So, fast question: do we have on board any maps of the island or anything like that?
This is a smaller island, so the map that you would see is just kind of like a dot.
Okay, so we don't have the map of the island, though.
Yeah, there's not a lot of. There's like it's more of a flat. It's like a flat jungle island. There's not like a central mountain or anything. It's just sort of like a place that you might have accidentally gotten shipwrecked in like earlier long patrols.
So, I don't know if this would be history from like trying to learn about the island before we get there, or if it would be investigation for looking around the island. But Kendall wouldn't want to just put the ship into port anywhere. He would want to look for some place or try to remember some place that is more covered, like I'm thinking like if this is a jungle island, like a mangrove forest or a heavily forested bay or lagoon, just someplace where like if you're looking from above, it's not immediately obvious there's a new ship here.
So as you're going around, like you do not see any place for this to come in. Like the woods that came up to the edge of the water have been like cleared back. Like this was thick tropical jungle, but like these attacks have flattened so many large swaths of it. So you think like having your ship be in this area is just a danger, period.
I have a question before we disembark.
I have a poorly thought out answer before you disembark.
I would like to have had Odd suggest to the group, after summoning them to view the Dragon Light Show, that we put up a watch so that we can kind of see how it concluded, and if we could see where the dragon ended up going.
Absolutely. So you will see... So what you will get is, without making any rolls, is that it seems to spend about 2 hours. You see some flashes. You hear some yelling, some very faint yelling in the distance. As like the last watch would go on, and then you see it head as you have sort of been heading north. It heads like northeast.
Okay, perfect.
Going back to that walk.
Northwest, sorry.
Northwest. And does it like leave the island, or like it heads northwest and then buckles down somewhere?
Nope,
Or we
it
don't
heads
see-
northwest, leaving the island.
Cool.
And you see it like you'll like because you're even with dark vision, like it's not very clear, but you know it's sort of like it heads off in that direction after the flashes stop.
So Molly, I'm looking at the map on.
I'm actually Hungarian. I'm not Somali.
Okay, well, I mean, I could have guessed that actually.
Hey.
But I'm looking at the map, and I know we left Itino. Whereabouts on this map is this island?
So it is like these are kind of more major things that we have drawn on here. It is between Itino, and it's kind of like if you drew a triangle between Withering Archipelago, Itino, and where the ship headed to Hadmurs is.
Okay, so somewhere in the middle there.
Yep. It will be up there.
Somewhere around this. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah,
this.
a little bit further north, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to have an idea. So it went northwest.
Yep.
So we can probably assume it's going to Hadmurs.
It or in the direction of Admurs. Admurs is another week's sailing from about where you are.
Yeah. Who knows how far and fast a dragon can fly?
That's fair.
It's at least going in that direction.
It is.
With some proficiency in history, would Kendall be able to think and recall anything between this island and Hadmurs that's known of?
Give me a history check.
Okay. Let me do that with one of these character sheets that I have. You know what? Let me make the click clack sound.
Click clack sound.
I like the click clack.
Rotating plastic.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna do
My
this
housemate is a
one.
big Magic the Gathering player, and so I always say, "Oh, they're in their rotating cardboard."
All right. So that's a 15 plus 7 history, so that's a 22.
So with a 22, you knew that in like earlier days of Estepena history, you would know that they had floating fortresses in the seas between floating is the way that it was, but they have like built up atolls. Think about Chinese South Sea expansion style. Hey, politics, let's go. Like fortresses built up on atolls. That they would have in the sea between them and Admurs, when the relationship between Estepena and Admurs was more contentious.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to relay that information to everybody else and mention. I mean, it looks like they're going in the direction of Admurs, but unless they can fly a lot faster than we know, they've probably taken up one of those old fortresses.
Dang, that's a lot of notifications all at once.
Yeah, it was
Windows update and a phone update.
It was 3 devices that were hooked up together on the same app, and it updated at once. Don't you love it when that happens in the middle of you talking?
Always do.
But yeah, I think it would be wise to try to figure out a way to at least obscure the ship somehow, because if they're under attack on a regular basis and they have a fortress to retreat back to, we're probably going to get hit if they can see our ship.
Yeah.
I agree with that. We're probably going to be here for a little while, right? At
Mhm.
least.
At least
Is there like a forested area or palm trees or like what's the sort of flora fauna situation?
It is palm trees. There is a lot of down trees in the area.
Should we try and make a camouflage cover situation for the ship? It'd be a lot,
So-
but
Well, if we just make sure to keep our rowboats safe, Jenkins can keep the ship safe further out.
So we could just bring in a rowboat and hide that.
Yeah.
clever.
Maybe we could have a signal to tell Jenkins we're ready, and then they can stay even further away from the island until they get the signal to come closer.
Sure, we could shoot up a flare of some kind.
You are good at those, right?
I don't know how I would do that actually.
Right. She saw you do like prestidigitation, I think, during the fight, but you might not have that spell anymore, so.
No, I have prestidigitation. It's just that prestidigitation I don't think would be seen that far out.
Maybe not. Maybe it's too small, but you can tell her that.
Yeah. So I mean, I can do minor things like that, but it's setting up a large flare might not be my forte. Do we have anything on board? Possibly. I mean, I assume that the ship has something in case there's a shipwreck or they need to flag down someone for repairs.
I think that we can say that you would be able to fashion, like, with all the down trees that have been baking in the sun, you'd be able to fashion like a fire that might be visible from a great distance.
Sure.
As an idea?
Yeah, that
not-
makes sense to me.
It's not exactly fast if we need to make a fast escape. Although I guess
it won't be terribly subtle
I started
either.
a fire pretty quick once.
right, but that's not.
You remember that, right? That was pretty
Oh
quick.
yes, okay. I don't think that's going to be very helpful this time around.
You wanted a fire.
I wanted a signal. Anyways,
If it comes to building a fire signal, you will absolutely be in charge, Llewellyn. Don't even worry.
I can make this. I can do this.
Okay. Well,
Great.
if we want to do a fire, I can absolutely make a small campfire and we can build it up from there.
I can use my I can get help from my friends and make whatever signal we want to use to Jenkins. Maybe we arrange something innocuous
Could
in
you-
advance.
Could you have a caterpillar fly to the ship to let him know?
Caterpillars can't fly.
I mean, but right. Could you have a
I
butterfly
did have questions
fly
about that.
to the ship to let Jenkins know when we're ready? And that way we don't have to alert everyone. with
It's a
smoke
bit
and all
far
good
for that,
jazz.
unfortunately, but I can make a big signal in the sky, so that should be good enough. We can arrange.
Like right in the sky?
Also, monarch butterflies travel like
Oh, they're
across the
good at
entire
traveling.
length.
Monarch
They
butterflies.
travel. Are
Mechanically,
these not traveling butterflies?
you know what? I can.
Real world mechanics, they can catch some distance.
No, you know what? I take it back. I'm just gonna, cause I don't like have like a spell for this or whatever, but like that's just what I do. I'm a carrion king warden. I'm friends with all of the vermin. You know what else
You
is
got bugs.
Yeah, they're butterflies. I can just send a butterfly. That makes sense to me. I'm gonna just
Okay.
once a butterfly
You're gonna
lands on the ship, then that will tell Jenkins to come get us.
You're gonna befriend a vermin, and the vermin will deliver a message for you.
If that sounds good to you,
That's fine.
great.
So, you set up this thing, you instruct Jenkins to head south to keep the ship away.
Yes.
And to just kind of stay like a half day out, a day out. How far out?
Again,
I think
we can have
about-
things for- Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to speculate, so you go ahead.
I would say a half day, because if we need them to come back in an emergent situation, we can feasibly hide ourselves for about half a day, but we don't want them further out than that.
Maybe even a couple hours. I mean, a ship like that can make a lot of distance in a couple hours, so it's still a lot
How-
safer than
how
being within
far
like
out-
rowing distance.
How far out were we when we observed the dragon and he did not see us?
You don't know if you were seen or not.
That's
But
fair.
you were not attacked, right?
Right.
You were a half day out.
All right, sounds good.
So, you set this all up, and you will get yourself into the rowboat, get yourself in, and you arrive, and there's these kind of big flattened mats of jungle with kind of crushed flora underneath it. And for the couple times that you would have gotten off ship in the southern atoll to look at kind of the abandoned islands where the food had just been kind of left on the table, and the jungles and the wildlife were just kind of flat, other than I believe it was a disgruntled pelican that you came across, or maybe I'm just Schitt's Creek casting onto this.
I like it either way.
You and so you have that, or you have the wood. You have kind of the more wooded area.
Shall we head to the temple?
And you know the temple sits in the center.
Let's approach cautiously.
So as you approach, you see if you find some fairly well-worn trails that will lead you to the center. Obviously broken up by these huge piles of collapsed flora. And you start to see evidence of what were once like living situations for people, like collapsed mud huts, collapsed. You see like mud, and then you see brick houses, kind of like starting to come up, and then you see in the center, it's like as you get eyes on it for the first time, it's like a beautiful stonework temple that seems to be like crushed in, but seems to have just put up. You see the megalodon bones, the rib cage sort of sits in the ground, and they haven't been able to knock down all the bones. Like a couple of them are broken, but it's still sitting there, and the temple seems to be in a state of rebuilding. And you see a couple people milling about the town.
Cool.
And they're mergoblins?
They are like they're a lot like, they remind you of Rupal and Tupal. Or they remind Kendall and Odyssey of Tupal. But and it seems,
I loved Tupel. I regret not indoctrinating him into our crew.
little did we know, had the party actually befriended and brought Tupel along, actually they would have been able to just teleport to Ativra, and they wouldn't have had to do the whole shit thing.
I knew I had a good vibe from that guy, you know?
I feel like this is not true. I feel like this is Molly messing with us.
Damn, shout out to episode 4. I've never done that. Knox v. Red Buffalo Gin.
Never ever.
So this show is a very serious role-playing adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Very serious.
Everything I ever say is very serious.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you like to go about approaching this society in front of you?
Did they give us anything on? Because like we told them on the Tuva that we were coming here, and they said that they had like okay relationships with these mergoblins, right?
Yeah, you're not expecting hostility here.
Did they like give us a token of we're cool dudesness?
Most of us, anyway.
No.
No. Okay.
Well,
Well,
Noah.
Okay, then what do you guys do?
Molly didn't think of that.
Well,
that's something
that's fine.
Norcal would have thought of.
Oh no!
I mean, if Norco would have thought of it.
Norcal definitely would have thought of it. He's a very organized person. Molly is a dumpster fire.
Suddenly,
Wow.
You
portal
see-
opens next to us because Norkel has proven that they can cast this spell, and like a little like letter comes out. Oops, sorry, I forgot to send it.
No,
Maybe.
it's Shadowrun. Norcal takes 1 point of exhaustion. And it appears in your bag. There appears a token of goodwill to the mergoblins. No, you think so what it would have been is kind of like a symbol of peace, and it's written in Aquan, and it's kind of like peace be with you. It's like an ornate representation of like the faith of Kexla, and it's inscribed in Aquan on the outside, the elemental water language.
Cool.
Do
That's
either of
some
you
squirrely
guys?
stuff.
Are either of you guys? Do either of our two new companions strike odd as terribly charismatic?
Yeah, you've seen Celstrina. Celstrina has been very charming at times.
Okay.
I'm not awful.
And also in his very himbo way,
In his own way.
like he's charming. He's
No-
like a scamp.
No
Yeah,
shade
he's
He's
at
a charming little
all.
scamp.
Celestrina. I know that you guys' island has relations with these mergoblins. Would you be willing to be our ambassador and take this gift of goodwill and breach the barrier of first contact?
Why not? Sounds fun.
And you see Karis preparing a fan dance. Because
Karis?
we're doing a Star Trek and season 1 collaboration here. Sorry, that is a fully owned thing of Paramount Plus. Season 2 being taken down because I canceled us by mentioning Star Trek. Please go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
What is happening?
So,
I'm sorry, I got lost for a second there.
Celstrina hefts the symbol and walks over. I think that here's what I'm thinking. I have the symbol, and I also have food. So I'm gonna walk out with those two things.
The key to all mergoblin hearts.
Key to all hearts. You didn't have to say mergoblin.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody make
Period.
sure it's not poison.
That's true.
first.
Llewellyn,
So
we ate
you will
30 minutes ago.
I can make sure it's not poisoned.
Beautiful.
the one spell Llewellyn knows is detect poison and disease.
Mhm.
But
Llewellyn,
the
you
only
made
way
this
way
he
he
can
can use
cast it.
Is by eating the food.
But he's a very talented magic user.
Yeah. Very much so.
So you will approach, and this kind of there is Molly's notes.
Watch
there are
the table
you
for land
see,
development.
You'll see kind of a group of more lithe, like skinnier folks, kind of dressed in like well adorned but kind of beat up clothing, moving around, and you can see one of them giving direction. You see a kind of thicker, like more muscular mergoblin carrying a small child, walking around, and you also see a kind of a thicker but skinnier than the guy walking around with the baby, kind of like off behind this group of more lithe mergoblins. Is there any one of them that you particularly like to approach?
The child one.
The child one, and so he will look at you and say,
Oh!
in Aquan,
Yeah, an Aquan.
and we'll say,
In Elven, I'll respond, Oh, sure, yes. And it seems like and accede to his request of food, which is clearly what he just did with his hands. Um, and show the thing and just be like, "Is there any chance any of you speak Elven?" Uh, do our characters know anything? Like, is
Or
like
common. Do they just know common?
do they know common? Do we know common? Is there a common in this world? Okay,
Yes.
Elven or common?
And then, so when he hears the word common, he'll say, Sayapawia, is what he will say, and then he'll point over to the group of Lither people, and he'll kind of walk you over, and he'll say, Salapawia, Salapawia, and then he'll say a few more things in Aquan, to them, and they will turn and say, "Oh, hello. We didn't expect much help, much less help from Kaxla in this moment of need. We've been doing so much to keep her temple afloat."
Well, I'm happy to see there are at least some folks here still pulling through. We just came here from Utenoo. Actually, there were some folks from the Temple of Jahan who wanted to send whatever aid that we can give, at least for a little while, since we have another overarching mission.
Oh, okay. Elves. Everything makes more sense now.
Elves.
Yes. You're here to help with the dragon trying to destroy our temple?
Well, if we can, we're definitely here to ask questions and learn about it, and hopefully prevent more dragons from destroying more temples. But if there's something we can do to help while we're here, certainly we're excited to do what we can.
And
We
so,
very much would like to help.
so, so she'll say, "Well, okay, let's go." They tore down most of our houses, and you'll see kind of around you, most of the housing is collapsed in on itself. Like some of it's rock work, some of it's brickwork, and it's all been collapsed in on itself. And so you see a couple people like trying to set up temporary housing, like kind of like temporary tents and everything. And you see, and they will kind of take you over to one of these larger tents that's sort of set back in the woods, that hasn't been collapsed yet.
So if they weren't with me before, I'll definitely like get them on the way there.
Okay.
The other three.
And so you will sit down, the four of you, and they'll introduce themselves. So the translator, their name is Salapawia. You will have one of them, their name is Samiri. Another one, their name is Lahaswe. And then there is someone that is wearing a similar pendant to what the kind of a less ornate version of what you presented them when you entered, and they introduce themselves as Alua. And they will sit down and say, Lahaswe will turn to you all and say, sorry, no, first Samiri will talk. And Samiri will say, maybe a month ago, a group of giants came to our village and tried to convince us to get rid of our temple to Kaxla, saying that Kaxla was all short for this world, and that the Megalodon would be no more.
It would be giants again. I'll catch them up with a short version of what happened in Tavra with the giants and everything.
And that they wanted us, and so they'll say, that's horrible. We don't have any mithril that they want from us. They just wanted to get rid of our temple. And when we said no, that our faith to Kexel was too strong, they said they offered this god. It was an eye. It was this purple and orange eye. They had on all their banners and had on their necklaces. And when we rejected it, they
look
grew
like
irate
this?
with us.
And he's gonna Odd will pull out one of those pendants that we've gotten from the giants.
That is exactly what they tried to force on us.
Nasty business.
After we said no, we drove them out of town after they got violent with us. And since then, this creature, this worm, has been descending and attacking our temple at night.
Every night?
For weeks.
For weeks, and it's still in this shape.
And you look over, and it's like most of the rock work is collapsed. And he says, "Yes, I mean the Kexla's power is very strong. The Jinn are very powerful this close here to this holy site." And he'll describe this area in the faith where kind of a Sahaguin priestess did an early religious service, and it's kind of this conversion story for the mergoblins. And so this is like a very important religious place, and so that they feel Kexla's power very strongly here.
Maybe you can tell us a little more about the nightly attacks, and more specifically the perpetrator. I think that our friend over here would have some questions about them.
And so
Gesturing to Odd.
Lahaswe will say, "Okay, well, I'll point Sumiri and her men and her fighters have been dealing with the bulk of them, but Sumiri has very little left, especially very few people left to fight."
So Sumiri's been heading up the resistance attempts.
Yes, and you'll see Sumiri has. I'd say that you probably are the closest to an anthropologist of everybody, right?
Sure.
So like you would sort of be like, after spending like 10 or 15 minutes, you'd be like, all right, this is religious, this is the religious person, this is like the housing and home person, like this is a civic leader, and this might be the military leader, and you're sort of like, all right.
Sure. Perfect. Okay. And then who's Blue House? Which one is that?
Blue House?
Blue House? I already wrote it down in a way that was unintelligible to you. Yes, the Houseway. That's what it was. Let me put an emphasis on that so I know. Yes.
Was the housing and the person who did the kind of introduction there.
Okay, and then Alua?
Alua is kind of dressed in like more ornate but burned clothes, and they seem to be like they have the medallion of Kexla on. They seem to be the religious leader.
Okay, cool. So I feel like I want to talk to Alua first.
Okay.
So we've been dealing with this stuff for a couple weeks now. Have you noticed any disturbances in the weave?
Yes. This rider, the friend of the worm, anytime any of my clerics were to land anything on this worm, its rider would quickly draw energy and draw its own life force out of itself. It would glow briefly, and then the worm would be free of whatever malady we placed on it.
Have you tried placing maladies on the rider?
It's very difficult to get a look because the worm is so large that most of the time the rider is, unless we're at a quite an angle, but by the time that they're in range.
Right.
Understandable. But at least it means that whatever magic they're using to protect the dragon doesn't necessarily work on themselves.
It's possible.
Yeah, can you give us like a brief rundown of the defensive tactics that you've tried so far, just so we can get a gauge on kind of, what's going to be effective?
And so that they'll talk about like how they built towers and they had archers in the towers, and that had been their thing. And then they've been trying to like basically they tried that for a couple of days. That didn't work. They tried to like put a net over the dragon, like try to get a weighted net to get it down, the worm to get it weighted down and bring it down, and they weren't able to do that. So then they tried the towers again to get the mages closer, the clerics closer to get magical stuff at them. Also, that's when they figured out that there was some weird thing going on with blood magic.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've sort of been rebuilding in defiance of this over and over, and they're sort of taken to hiding and trying to draw it into the forest. But the response has been to just level swaths of the forest. And like a weird clock, it's sort of becoming the 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock are flattened, and the 3 o'clock and the 4 o'clock are flattened, and so they're running out of space to hide.
So they leave every night after the attacks. They go somewhere else and they leave the island.
They come in the same way every night. They come in from the northwest, and then they leave to the northwest.
Interesting.
Aside from just obviously the inherent faith that you guys have and your devotion to Kexla, are there any like really significant religious artifacts or anything that this dragon could be targeting in your temple or anything like that?
And he'll say, we all draw, the Ukabetris family came here and bestowed our families with their gift early in their rule, hundreds of years, centuries ago. And so it's possible they were trying to chase down or figure out what that power was. But it seems that they are frustrated. Well, I do not know their intentions, but they were frustrated when we would not willingly convert.
What was the name of their god again?
Kexla, Qexla.
How much do you know about the... Oh, why don't you go first?
Oh, I was just going to ask more about what was the power that the Ukabetrises had?
They are... So, that name is associated with royalty in Estipena, or the city that was once Estipena.
And they're devotees of Kexla?
You know them to be a royal family of Sahaugen. And so, that'll be what you know without a roll.
Okay, perfect.
If you want to give me a history roll, you can do so.
I will. What is... Odd would probably know, obviously. What's Sahaugen?
It's like a half shark, half person type thing. It's not a were shark. It's like a fish person, kind of.
Got you. And I'll go ahead and roll history. Let's see. 19.
You would know that they had they had rituals that created lycanthropes, like were sharks and were octopuses.
Cool.
How much?
Okay. Go ahead.
How much do you know about Kexla's ancient sea temples or sea fortresses?
We know that the Ukabetrians, the royalists, used to keep a fortress north of here. That's where they originally arrived from.
We're trying to figure out, they've got to be coming from somewhere every night. Dragons do seem fast, but they can't be that fast. So I wonder how vulnerable their position is while you're being attacked. We were thinking maybe a ancient Kexla fortress could be a logical place for them to settle while they're besieging your town.
That makes and so I said the Hasway was the housing, and then Sumiri will say that makes sense. We aren't many, and we're fewer every day. We unfortunately aren't able to strike, but that makes sense to us.
So you haven't seen anyone else, or rather, you met with giants. Is that right? And how long ago was that?
It would have been so it would have been, you would kind of put it together, it would have been a couple weeks before No Siota Higwa. It would have been at the beginning of this month that you're in right now. So a few weeks, maybe a week before they went to a few weeks before the attack in Estipena.
And there was a gap between the raids on your town and when you spoke with them?
Just a couple days. But yes.
What I'm trying to figure out is, what are the chances that however many giants were there are still around versus just this one rider and their dragon? Regardless, if we want to help, I'm not convinced there's a lot that we can do to actually fight against a dragon if it's as big as you say. But maybe we could pull off something a little bit more subtle if we can find their base while you're being raided.
It's a clever idea.
Thanks, darling.
We and so
I don't have a problem with that idea. It would honestly allow us to get a lot more information, and that would be helpful for us to stop the whole thing, because if we understood more about how they operate.
And so Lahaswe will say again, they'll turn and they'll say, we are so few, we can't even bury the fallen anymore before more people pass, before more of us pass and go into Kexla's embrace.
I have a question for Alua.
Okay.
Is there any way you could get us in contact with Kexla? I know you're a spiritual leader. Do you have like a direct bead to him or anything, or any of the other Jinn that we could try and contact?
And he will say that it has been much like Kexla's voice has been very quiet in the last 2 weeks. It's been very muted or suppressed.
Is there any way that you could amplify it? Rituals or anything that we could maybe help you pull off to get in contact with him?
And he doesn't know of anything that when the Ukabetrians came and so you're putting this together and like with the timeline that they're laying out and you're like, okay, whatever happened in Estipena is like literally seems to have cut these people off from their god.
Okay, cool. So
like,
what can we do to help you guys rebuild? How can we help you now?
We need help dealing with this. We need to stop this thing from. We need help dealing with this worm.
It sounds
getting rid of
like
this creature.
Our best bet to get a jump. Let's say get the jump on them is going to be while they're being raided, and if that's the case, we should probably try to do that as quickly as we can so that they get raided as few additional times as we can achieve. I know that we're here to gather information, but I mean, if we keep them alive, that's a lot of information that we can gather, no?
I like where your head's at.
Probably.
This AI got to throw hands at the dragon, so...
I don't think that throwing hands at the dragon would be productive at all.
So...
Oh no, it's a bragging right thing.
How long has it been since we left our boat?
Since you left
our ship.
The new ship?
The ship.
It would have been 1 or 2 hours. You know, you've been
Perfect.
sitting around drinking tea, eating with, kind of sharing your rations with these people.
Best I can tell, we should get the ship back right away and try to follow whatever directions they have to the fortress they know about. At least, if we can get a more accurate bead from them as far as where the dragon goes, that might also be helpful. But if we can find some place, I mean, they have to sleep sometime, right? If we can
Coming
find
from a bunch of elves.
Well, they're giants, aren't they? if we can find some place and approach during, we can even look out for. I guess the real danger is if they spot us while they're on their way over to the island. But I think maybe we should just send a friend to let Jenkins know right now.
One of our old friends taught me to be very stealthy, so don't even worry about it. I have got this on lock.
I'm glad to hear that because my stealth skills leave something to be desired, we'll say.
I do not think that you are an expert at this yet, Odd.
No, I graduated.
Okay.
She gave me a certificate, and he whips out a little piece of paper.
A little bit of devil's leaf comes out of shakes out of the end of it.
I shake it off. That's fine. Don't worry about that. Look, here it says right here, Odyssey graduated with super stealth,
and it's a forgery of Elon's signature. It's not even an actual Elon signature. It's just like you can see Odyssey has written Elon, E-E-L-A-N,
not a green
Elon.
pig, okay. This was the final project.
So they will say like, please, like, you are like, there is so little left here for us, and we have like, please help us. Please help us here.
I think that we will have our best chance while they're coming in on our raid. That doesn't mean that we can't protect these people.
What is keeping you here?
The temple.
This is home.
Yeah, this is...
Where else would we
They're
go?
home. Why should they leave?
Well, I just mean if it's about your renouncing your faith, couldn't, just in terms of your survivability, wouldn't it be more practical for you to leave for a little while the raid was happening and keep your people alive to continue practicing in the name of Kexla, as opposed to staying in this temple and all dying out.
And so, Kendall will know this at this point. I'm gonna pull up a lore document real quick, so give me a second.
Sure.
Okay, this is in season 1 prep. We're digging back through some freaking notes here. Oh no, this is in the world building folder. Garage wheel lore. Yeah, this is an old one. This is something Molly was working on February 2023. Let's go. Alright, so you will know that that Kexla is kind of is the djinn of the unforgiving tides. Like, that is what it is about. And Esipena, the other name for the city, is the ebb and despair. Right? And so they are the thing that consumes. They do not get consumed. And so kind of like part of their, like part of it is like defending this holy place is very important to them.
Okay.
And so like this is like a kind of like a core thing about who they are. It's like, it's not about celebrating Kexla, it's about celebrating Kexla by, it's Viking-ish and like honor and all that stuff.
You said that they followed you into the forest when you fled there, right?
Well, once we fled into the forest, they started tearing down the forest. They started magically bulldozing the forest bit by bit, and
Bit
you
by
can see
bit.
it.
That's perfect.
Right, and so
if you
It
could...
is?
Oh, well, what I'm
Sound
saying
great.
is... Excuse me, please. What I'm saying is, if you can distract them... I mean, it seems like there's a lot of forest left around here, and losing a bit of forest's not great, but better than the temple or your people being hurt, right? If you can distract them, maybe set some fires, some decoys, build a quick decoy tower with false archers inside, some lights over by the forest, then you can keep them away from your people and your home for at least one night while we can hopefully set something up wherever they are. Hopefully it's not a huge fortified and populated town. Hopefully it's just a few people and no additional dragons, but we can only hope.
I mean, you know, you see the military leader, Sumiri, is not happy with that suggestion, like really does not like the idea of hiding, really wants to defend, and Alua really wants to defend the temple. I'm jumbling Lahaswe and Sumiri right now. But
Sumiri is the military leader.
Right, okay. So I am doing it correctly.
Correct.
So Lahaswe will push, will try to convince them of this. So make a persuasion check just make it flat.
Okay.
Can I help? Can I help her?
Are you...
You're getting the roll because Lahaswe is trying to agree with them.
I don't know where my
If you
special die
like,
is.
how would you do that?
Yes.
Like, you want to use like a spell or something?
No, I thought I had I thought I was proficient in persuasion and I was just gonna try and help. But I'm not, so never mind.
Yeah, okay, I'll roll. Okay. That's a 14.
So Sumiri is not convinced. Alua is persuaded to spend one night in the forest away from the temple. Sumiri is insisting on fighting the creature.
Okay,
So you know that there will be.
I would like to activate my Okay, so yeah, I would like to activate my my Cloud of Flies invocation and try to intimidate Sumidi specifically by sort of trying to seem really scary and then make them think maybe I know what I'm doing when it comes to like supernatural BS like this, and they should at least hide for one night.
The source matter expert route.
Make an intimidation roll.
Okay. Now I'm gonna tell. I guess
trying to be scarier than a dragon.
Yes, I am.
Let's go.
Because I have the Cloud of Flies invocation, which gives me advantage on intimidation checks. So my result is 22.
So,
do you want me to say some words real quick?
Yeah, please.
So, so Celestrina backs away from everyone else as you see, like, her, there's usually a couple butterflies hanging out, but, like, more and more start to appear, and, like, more, fey magic looking ones and shadowy looking ones. And she, like, looks back with, like, her weirdly pearlescent eyes at Sumidi. What was the name of the translator again?
Their name is Salapawea.
Sorry about this, Salapawea. I'm just speaking to them, but please do help me pass it on. We came here specifically to help you because you clearly need it. Now, you've done a great job helping here, but you've done a great job protecting yourself given everything that's been happening, but we've got information directly from gods about this situation, and we don't want any more people to get hurt. We really, really don't want that, and we just want to help as best we can, so I really would prefer it if you could trust us just this once. And just like, scary eyes and butterflies and stuff. I don't know.
And so you'll see like this mergoblin, like, upon seeing you kind of flipping into this magical form, you see him start to take the shape of you see like shark-like features coming out, like his eyes start to go black and his teeth start to grow really sharp and long, and like there seem to be more and more and more, and he's like, and like you see this rage building up inside of him, like, how dare you tell me what to do in my own city, right? And as this kind of fey magic comes and it ebbs, also his transformation sort of stalls, and you see a little flicker of panic is the kind of like, as you see a little white flicker back into the black of this were-shark's eyes, and like he, like, whatever the magic was, like his connection with it is stuttering. And say 3
Kendall
nights.
would like to say something upon seeing that.
And he will say, 3 nights we will hide. Then one last time we will tear them limb from limb, or die protecting our temple.
My butterflies fade. Sounds beautiful, sweetheart.
Kendall is going to roll his eyes a little bit at the sweetheart thing. And
I have no idea how that's going to translate.
And is going to, addressing specifically the person that was starting their transformation and seemed to get cut off, say, we are as interested in keeping Zevi from being interrupted as you are. We have experienced it too. I have experienced it a lot. We know you want to protect your temple. It is an admirable thing to protect your temple. But your god needs worshippers, or the temple will become ruins. Let us try. And if we cannot try, then you do what you need to do.
And so they will say, Sumiri will kind of walk away from this situation, and they'll say something quickly to Salapawea, and they will say just a quick back and forth in Aquan, and Salapawea will translate and say, they will have one scout show you where the dragon comes from. They offer to send a scout out and point you out where the dragon comes from and kind of what the headings are, and what they know about. And then the religious leader Alua will give you as much information as they know about the direction. So for the survival check to find this fortress, or wherever they're coming from, you will have advantage on the check.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. And so this scout will take you through. Their name is Asnu. And Asnu will take you to a rock formation on the outside, and you're kind of Odyssey. You're reminded of the walk through the forest. There reminds you a lot of when Rupal was showing you the new island and taking you to the dinghy.
Roops.
I sent a butterfly to the boat like as soon as we made plans. But let's continue.
Okay. And so probably about. It's reaching like early afternoon when you'll get back to the rowboat and get kind of start making your way out, knowing that the boat will be there to meet you shortly. So by the time you get in the boat, it is mid-late afternoon.
Celestrina,
What would you like to
do? Experienced with stealth missions?
Well, stealth is one way to put it. I tend to make a lot of noise when I move around. I'm not exactly the easiest to hide,
It
but
was so easy to know when she was coming.
I also gather, Llewellyn, you are not the most subtle person I've ever met.
I'm actually kind of okay depending on the day.
I do have some tricks.
I gotta sneak around or that's how you get caught.
I guess that's fair.
Yeah. I do have some tricks, and so my other Eldritch Invocation is called Mask of Many Faces, and I can just disguise self all the time. So I'm gonna say I do have some tricks and like disguise self to look like Odyssey.
Oh my god! Do you want to play cards right now? Do you want to play cards right now? Like this?
Well, I've got nothing better to do.
I've had this dream so many times!
You play cards with Odyssey, but like two Odysseys?
Yeah! It's like me, but I'm playing cards with myself. And I laugh at all my jokes.
I'm not sure I can live up to that one, but I'll do my best.
The separation between fantasy and reality is a wild thing. And Odyssey was very disappointed on this day, as they were supposed to be tracking a fortress
We could do it
and
another
decided
time.
to play cards.
We could do it another time. I'm sure we'll have time another time. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I wasn't that into it. It's okay.
Right.
Make a deception check. So anyways,
4.
That's about right. Crestfallen. Descarada. You see our friend Odyssey. Descarado. I'm sorry. So, how are you going about making your journey northwestward, following the bearings of Asnu? Are you going to wait for the dragon to come and try to follow it back?
I think we should just.
Is the vision here to do this in one? I know we want to minimize the time, but is the vision here to do this in one night? Or are we doing like a scouting night and then a infiltration night?
Well,
I would prefer that, but I'm also very biased towards all the information possible.
Caution, yeah.
Well, I think we can still get information if we do it quickly. I think.
Yeah, I more meant like information about what we're going into, so that we can do it without with it not going off without a hitch. Because like when we go in blind, we can be quick about it, but it's likely we'll miss some things and set off some things that we don't even realize.
Well, I think we should minimize the number of days that these people are fighting and dying. I can't really imagine. I mean, it all depends on what we find there. After all, if depending on do they have guards and how big of a place it is, and if we're spotted, those are all going to change what our options are. And I'm guessing that in most situations, there's not going to be much that we can learn that will give us an additional advantage besides taking care of whoever's behind there and laying some sort of ambush for when the dragon returns.
Okay, Odd is pretty conflict averse, so it seems like whichever side is arguing at the time, he's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I think the idea of leaving a trap for the dragon is a good one. I think that they have already agreed to try to stay away from the violence and to hide for a couple of days, have they not? Do we think that it will... Do we think taking an extra day of scouting before we act will really impact that?
Well, it's... Somebody has to be the decoy.
Okay.
So
Gotta break
right.
some eggs. Gotta break some eggs to make an omelet.
They gave us 3 nights.
That sounds like a good omelet.
They gave us 3 nights, and utilizing those does make sense. They can probably reduce the death and destruction for 3 nights pretty effectively. But I mean, I think none of this matters until we see what we're up against.
So,
So let's go scout, and then we can make a decision from there if we're going to do more scouting.
Sounds great.
what are you scouting?
I don't think that we have any way to disguise a huge ship or like hide it. So unless we're gonna okay, all right, we're out there on the ship. If you really want to scout, the only way I can imagine doing that is by waiting on the other side of the island, waiting for the dragon to arrive, and running off with the darkness of night on our side to try to get back before they do, if you think we can make it. Did they give us a rough idea of how far away the ancient fortress was by boat?
They hadn't ever been, but they're not super, like, they just go out and swim and fish. Like, they're not super, like, navally inclined. They're just a sustenance kind of culture.
Yeah.
So, like, they don't really have an idea. They don't, their swimmers never reach there. So, it's probably, let me actually look up the comparative speeds of a boat and a dragon, and I will figure that out from there. Because I know how long it is in dragon.
Can Odyssey make an inference with respect to the speed of a dragon compared to the speed of our boat?
The ground speed of a laden dragon?
The ground speed of a laden dragon compared to the speed of Jenkins.
From the Ethereal Isles or from Southern Garage Wheel? Anyways, of course, in miles per hour. Yeah, great.
That's what you needed.
That's what I need. So, we'll call this. What's the difference between? Would you call this a long? What's the difference between a sailing ship?
A sailing ship
is 2 miles an hour is the speed that D&D agrees upon.
What?
Okay.
So,
Does D&D know anything about sailing?
I mean, they put it in miles per hour, so
Probably not.
make inferences from that.
2. I know a lot of people that work at Wizards. It's just down the street from me. Okay? Like, those people have got to have been on boats. There's sailboats all over this area.
So you want to make an argument?
I'm just having fun. Whatever you think is the most fun.
How fast do you believe a boat would actually travel?
Honestly, anywhere, like literally just did a Google search on sailing ship speed. They're anywhere from 5 to 8 knots, and knots roughly translate to about a mile. So, like, they're probably anywhere from, like, 5 to 8 miles per hour.
My quick
It depends because,
said
there's really fast...
15 to 17 knots, but the average speed of a cruising sailboat is 4 to 6 knots, which is about 4.5 to 7 miles per hour, and can attain a top speed of about 7 knots, which is 8 miles.
Cool. So then I think that we're on the cruising side with our boat, but also we could push it for, like, half a day if we wanted to.
Depends on the wind.
You're looking at the dragon would move about 10 times as fast as your boat would.
Then so back in character then. We don't know how far this place is, and there's also the chance that we need to leave right now to get there within 3 days.
I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we should leave now.
Well, I mean, if we wanted to play it safe, leaving at night while the dragon's busy raising the forest is a lot safer.
Oh, assuming that it was closer.
If not long, then the dragon would just see us on the next pass.
It would see us if it's unless it's close enough. We don't know how far away it is.
So it seems like the dragon is probably going to see us unless it's a very specific distance away that fits in that window of before it leaves for the next day, but still within the time that it's come back.
To be
so
fair,
we might as well just...
Sorry.
To be fair,
dragons probably also have cruising speeds and maximum speeds, because there's no way that if it's like that far that dragon could go at 80 miles an hour, like all the way from like a far place to here.
I'm not calculating a sprint speed.
Okay, I'm gonna believe you then. I'm not trying to gripe.
I just looked it up. Dragon's cruising speed, they're guessing to be about 9 miles per hour.
But who is guessing that?
Probably Reddit. No.
Them?
Actually, them. Yeah, it's some website.
You mean like dragons in
They
D&D?
are?
Yeah, because I looked up dragon movements.
Well, this is a different
60
world.
feet per second. In
All
D&D
dragons older than a wormling can fly 80 miles per hour. 80 feet per
How many
second,
feet
excuse
per
me.
second?
60.
60, which is 41 miles an hour. Okay. That's their, like, walking flying speed.
Oh,
Wow, their flight
we
speed
need to
is
get
like...
a dragon, guys. Let's get on that.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not fighting it.
60 feet flying speed? That's pretty average for a flying creature.
I thought
It
you
is.
said it's 360 feet flying speed.
Oh!
You said per second.
60 feet per second, yeah.
So the speed is 360 for a round?
I'm sorry. 60 feet and around. Oh, I'm a goofy goblin. Look at me. It's 10 feet per second.
I'm a goofy.
Okay, so you're right. So I'm very sorry. I made a goofy mistake. I made a goof up. Isabel is so done with me. Isabel is so done with me.
The whole time I watched that show wiggle a little.
It is 7 miles an hour is how fast you would think this creature would travel.
Okay, so it's
7 to 8
about as fast as we are.
Treasury of
It's
Dragons.
about as fast as you're.
So let's
Okay,
leave at night.
That's much more.
Okay,
yeah,
but if we throw things at it, then we slow down. And
Do you
then
want to
we'll-
stay behind and throw things at it, Llewellyn? They
Dragon.
need the help
Yeah.
distracting it.
What if we
I
offer
feel like we
I
can
offered to be the
juicy
distraction earlier.
pigs, and then it'll be really full, and it'll fly slower?
And where are we going to get juicy pigs?
I'm just the ideas, man. Okay.
Listen, Llewellyn, if
No,
you're
I'll stay behind and drink
This
until it
is
shows
a
up.
callback to Elin. Like I'm just brainstorming, Bubbles. I'm just brainstorming. I'm just
I learned
bringing
a
up
lot
ideas.
from her. Okay.
Llewellyn, if you'd like to stay behind, I'm not going to stop you, but it is time to go, so you better make your decision.
Oh no, I'll stay behind. I like fighting things more than I like sitting on a ship.
Fighting? Well, okay, then I will stop you. You just said you wouldn't fight it.
Distracting.
All right,
How
Jenkins,
else was I
let's go.
gonna distracted?
Llewellyn,
you're
I'm gonna
setting-
shout as we start.
Oh, right,
playing
we're
out.
waiting.
Like, Llewellyn, you get to punch a giant for sure, 100%. If you come with us.
That way? I punched a giant though, like yesterday. Well, like 2 weeks ago, about maybe.
Yeah, but I
But
bet
did
you
you
could
pun-
do it better. Was that really the best giant punch you could do?
No, not particularly. Yeah, you're right.
Also, I doubt that giant was a dragon rider.
That's
true. So you start making your way north. Jenkins starts to gets.
I think we
gets
are waiting.
everything going.
I think that after all, if we assuming so if we are about as fast as the dragon, then I think that we want to wait until cover of darkness to leave.
So you're gonna tail it back. To wherever
No,
it's
because
going.
it's going to show up and hang out all night, and we're going to be going to where it came from while it hangs out over on the island.
So like while it's going, you go to where it's coming from.
Yes.
It should be slightly faster than us.
Triangulate.
I'm a nerd, as we all know, and I just did a quick peruse through Fitzbin's Treasury of Dragons, and depending on the size of the dragon and the age of the dragon, we should assume that it is anywhere between 8 and 10 miles per hour.
Well,
Right.
we
Well, as a man who's never seen a dragon before, it could go 200 miles per hour for all I know.
That's not what the book says!
I'm metagaming.
the
We couldn't figure out how fast dragons work.
Molly was coming on the
I figured it out. I got it. I got there.
we
You want to guess how
we-
fast I think a dragon moves?
we
I don't know.
Intelligence?
I can't even get.
we
Okay, so we're gonna spend the night. We're gonna spend the afternoon on the ship, and then when the dragon arrives, you're gonna make like hell towards where it came from and try to beat it to where it was going.
yes.
Yeah, and I'm for the record, as far as metagaming goes,
It's a joke.
Yeah, no. But
Yeah, you're okay.
This was more for DM purposes, less for player purposes. Wanted to clarify where we were at.
Yeah, no, you're okay. That's what I figured you were trying to help Molly understand
yeah.
how fast a dragon might move.
Okay, I literally started and I was like, yeah, dragons go 40 miles an hour.
And I was like, that sounds wrong.
Yeah, it's just the speed of a sedan.
That means I can go
dragons are the
faster than a
minivans
dragon on
in
the Garden
D&D.
State Parkway.
Sorry, I got hung up on that minute detail.
All right, so on the other hand, that really helps us figure out what's going on here. So
Yeah, actually
you
turned out
will-
to be pertinent information.
you'll make your way as you see this creature arrive. You have seen two of these worms before. You have seen Nilmananji in the triple binding, suspended upside down in their volcano, sorry. And you have seen the unnamed sapphire dragon that was kind of had an underdeveloped sense of everything and had kind of shown you Big Brothers.
The boat
And
buddy.
so Odyssey, as you kind of communed with this creature and you see this go overhead, the creature that was identified as like Big Brother,
It's this kiddo. Okay.
you see an emerald wormling. I mean, you can't really make out the details because it's at night and you're seeing in shades of gray. But like, if there's anything, it's this as it starts to burn by, and you see large swaths of tattooed skin on this giantling on its back, burning bright with void magic as they start to raise sections of the forest.
So I'm going to bring up to my party too. After I'm going to inform them of this, but I'm going to bring up to my party that there were 2 green dragons under Hirsch's. Just, pertinent information. There might be another one.
Good to keep in mind.
That's good to know.
Yes.
So you make your way north. As you're sort of like racing, you're pushing Jenkins to try to get the ship as hard as you can go.
I'm helping with the sailing. I'm just whatever Jenkins points at, I'll grab the rope and.
Okay, so it's all hands on deck through the night.
Not my hands. Most hands. Odd is touching nothing.
Yeah, it is hands. No, I'll throw hands with Odd. No.
Oh yes, and we can trance too. While we were waiting for night to fall, we'll be all nice and well rested.
Oh yeah, I think I actually didn't. We've definitely had a long rest since our last battle, right? Not that it matters.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Sorry.
So,
while we're on the way there, I think Kendall would want to cast Embrace Destiny.
Okay. Tell us about that.
What's Embrace Destiny?
So that is a divination spell where it would take him about a minute to look into the future and see a murky vision of things to come. And essentially would roll a d20 and record the number rolled. This is only before the spell ends. I can't hold on to this forever. Okay, so never mind, but I might use this later when we get to the island. But essentially it allows me to hold a d20 for whatchamacallit, for attack rolls, saving throws, or ability checks made by me or a creature I can see. So I'm going to do that
cool.
probably later when we're in it, but yeah. I thought that was one of those things that you could cast ahead of time and have it for a little while, but my bad.
So as you're making your way through the dark of night, and you know that just a few hours behind you, or maybe only an hour or so behind you, would be this creature, this dragon and its rider. And you, in the distance, you see this this 3-tiered fortress rise out of the ocean, and it sits on this tall, sharp rocky embankment that seems to have been narrowed into what, for all intents and purposes, seems like a 5-story tall total thing that sits out of the ocean. And the waves lap up against this as these tall limestone towers, or limestone, dark,
Obsidian?
black limestone. No,
Limestone is generally white.
nice granite. Sure,
There you
granite.
go.
Why not? It's a nice day. Don't take it for granted. As these granite towers rise up out of the ocean. And you see 4 points on each corner of this rocky atoll that this fortress seems to be built up on. And as you are, you see merlins dotting the walls of each side of this fortress as you're kind of approaching at an angle.
Merlins?
And-
like depictions of The wizard?
Like fishes.
Or like the bird.
The slits.
Oh.
The slits for like archers and
Wizard.
lookouts.
I was thinking of the bird. I thought you just had tons of falconers.
I've never heard that word be for arrow slits before, but I support you. And you're probably right, that's the thing. I'm not contesting it. I'm just...
I really
it's new
like
to me.
the imagery of Arthurian Wizard Merlin. Is my favorite.
Just everywhere. They've plastered him all over.
Wow, they must really like
They
this
really
guy. I
liked him.
don't know who this is.
Some of him doing like the howling wolf pose and like some macho man poses. Like just
So
some
let
montage,
me-
like a teen girl.
Let me use
montage.
a word I know is safe, and we'll call it a loophole. Or an arrow. We'll call them arrow loops. As you look, and there are arrow loops dotting the side of each face of this castle, and you see 3 different levels, and then a kind of a rocky, probably 2 stories of rocky natural shape. And as you are, let's say, that's where we'll pick up next time. It's kind of with this big looming granite castle in front of you.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for being another wonderful episode of the Concord Nomenagia. I've been Molly, and our producer has to go. Bye!
Molly.
Bye.
Bye.